Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the show. Today's Sunday, the 24th of January, 2021. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, you know what? To me, it's looking more and more like Bitcoin is going to become the world reserve currency. When I first said this on my channel, like going a while back, quite a while back, maybe. I don't know exactly when I first said this, but quite a long time ago. uh, about Bitcoin becoming the world reserve currency. An awful lot of these traders and stuff, they say, well, the dollar is uh, the only one. There's no other player in town that could become the world reserve currency. Yuan, Chinese yuan, renminbi can't do it. It's but back then it was a laughing joke. Back when I first started saying it, that Bitcoin would become a world reserve currency. Now I hear more and more commentators out there actually mentioning these same words that I'm saying. They're starting to see it now at this point in time. You know, what they've done is they've mismanaged all the world's currencies, fiat currencies. They're not backed by anything anymore. Used to be that the dollar was backed by oil, an oil trade, now there's just been a separation. China's been working hard for a long period of time to cut the dollar away and make it not the petrodollar anymore in oil trade. Well, the big one come not long ago. Now, Iran is one of the world's big oil producers. Iran decided to take up Bitcoin as using it for trade. Now, Iran, that move alone has ensured Bitcoin is going to be, it's not going to go away. And we see investors now, they're secretly piling in one by one. Big hedge funds and stuff are starting to reserve and allocate part of Bitcoin to their portfolio. Uh, what we're seeing is as these currencies are debased, and now take a look in the United States. We got 30 million people who are not getting their jobs back. Do you really believe that they're going to allow 30 million people in the United States to starve to death? Of course not. They would have a revolution if they don't do something. So yeah, Biden's going to do something. $1.9 trillion plan. But do you think it really ends there when you got 30 million people who are lost jobs, and they in every week they're coming in with another 900,000, 800,000 new jobless claims. This is a problem that's not going to go away. Even when COVID goes away, this thing ain't going to go away. And so what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to, now this is for the world reserve currency, mind you guys. They're going to have to supplement these people with a secondary income. It's not secondary, it's going to be first for them, first income of what's called UBI, Universal Basic Income. I'm going to have to do it. They're forced to do it. This temporary measure, $1,400 checks to Americans, that ain't going to carry them through all summer. In fact, it's probably not even going to last a month. They need a continuation of this to keep all these people from starving. And this spells doom for the dollar. Because when they start sending out people directly from the central bank, payments of UBI every month to support that part of the income that's dead, that part of the economy that's dead, to support it, that money's going to start filtering through. And what we're going to see is we're going to see an increase in the velocity of money for the dollar. And that's going to mean that the dollar is going to start to lose value around the world in its purchasing power. Well, of course, people are going to look for a hedge. People that have been storing dollars away massively for a long period of time are going to look for a hedge. It's gonna help heat up Bitcoin. And so think about this for a minute. When this inflation really starts to hit, and the Fed can't raise rates to lower the inflation rate anymore, they got to keep them at zero. They're trapped. What do you think's going to happen? You're going to see this Bitcoin becomes stronger and stronger. And it's becoming more and more accepted all the time. And, you know, for these guys out there who are hoping for gold, they've been rooting for gold for a long time to become the world reserve currency, to become a backing for all of the currencies of the world, and for gold to become a monetary asset again. Well, I think Bitcoin is going to jump in and take those shoes because of one big, huge fact. Real physical gold, if you're storing your value in real physical gold, how do you move it? It's very, very difficult. The logistics involved for moving a large quantity of gold around the world is enormous, especially in these days of COVID, and it takes a long time. Well, what are you going to do? Take 5 tons of gold and try to move it from one country to another? It's logistically, it's an absolute nightmare. You got to have guards to guard the stuff. You got to try to fly it, you know, and try to land it and try to go through border checks and everything. It's logistically, it's a nightmare. But what about Bitcoin? Well, you just enter in the amount. Well, how much would 5 tons of gold be in Bitcoin? I don't know. I don't know exactly how many Bitcoins that would be. I can't do the math for that off the top of my head. But I can tell you one thing. That probably wouldn't be an enormous amount of Bitcoin. And the fee for sending it across, it would be minimal. And it gets to its destination extremely quickly, and it's no fuss, no muss. The Bitcoin has taken the place for gold, and that's one of its big advantages it has over gold. And you know, as far as quantities are concerned, when we're looking at gold, now you know I'm not going down on gold and saying, well, gold's terrible and bad and everything. Gold's great. Gold has advantages that Bitcoin doesn't have. Like one is if the power's out, grid down situation. Where's your Bitcoin? It's off in the internet there. You know, I mean, it will be there when the power comes back on, but we might be dealing with, we don't know what we're going to, situation we're going to go into in the next year or two, you know? And we could actually be dealing with grid outages. So I've always been an advocate of having both gold, silver, and Bitcoin, all three of those. You know, and I don't advocate anybody putting their eggs all into one basket. But it's looking more and more to me like Bitcoin is going to become the world reserve currency. So let's talk just for a minute about what happens if Bitcoin does become the world reserve currency. Well, right now, all of these fiat currencies out there, they've got the world's value stored in fiat. The value of your house, it's worth, if you're in America, it's worth so many dollars. You don't say, well, my house is worth 1.5 Bitcoins or 2 Bitcoins. You say my house is worth like $60,000. You know? It's not valued in Bitcoin. It's valued in dollars. But if Bitcoin becomes the big thing in the world, then your house is going to be valued in Bitcoin rather than dollars anymore. And what do they do with the dollars? Well, at a certain point, these central banks are going to try to use Bitcoin as a reserve asset. It might be already starting. The banks might actually, the central banks might see this coming. They might be actually scared of what Bitcoin's going to do. And all this yakking that they're doing, I'm going to tell you what, to try to lower the price of Bitcoin, I'm going to tell you what, it's going through my head. I'm thinking to myself, maybe these central banks are looking to get, they all don't want to jump in at once, but maybe they want to get be a bag holder. Maybe they already are bag holders, but maybe they want to get to be much bigger bag holders. And maybe they want to do it on the QT. Maybe they want to do it so nobody knows that they're actually doing it. Maybe it's going on right now. We don't know. How would you know if they're buying, if the central banks are buying through some sort of third party system where they're getting their buddies to buy it for them or whatever banks the the banks that are connected to the central banks. I don't trust these guys as far as I can throw them. And I mean, why should you trust them? They're the ones that rigged the whole system to begin with, you know? And at a certain point, though, I do see this happening. If they're not doing it already, and maybe they're not, I don't know, you know? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But if they're not doing it already, I can see them a time coming in the very near future where they are going to be doing this. Instead of storing, it's so much easier for them to store than gold, too. And you know, under the Basel III requirements, gold became a tier 1 asset for the banks. This means it's just like having cash, you know, and I could see Bitcoin becoming a tier 1 asset like gold within the banking system, you know. And as the Bitcoin price you watch what I'm saying is going to come true. As the Bitcoin price gets higher and higher, it's going to get more firm all the time, where you don't get these price fluctuations anymore, to the down or to the upside. You know, these big price fluctuations. Well, you know, these price fluctuations we've been having lately, I don't consider them really big compared to the early days of Bitcoin, when I used to watch the price go up like a yo-yo. Anyway, listen, guys. I'm just going to tell you one more thing before I go. Hang on to your Bitcoins. Hang on. No matter what happens, hang on through it. Because I'm going to tell you, if you got some Bitcoin put away, hang on to it, because you might not need very much. Because if Bitcoin does become the world reserve, the big thing, if it becomes the big cheese in the world, I figure you'd only need 10% of one Bitcoin. That's 0.10. Am I figuring that right? No, it's 10%. 10% of it. I think I figured that right. You only need that much for retirement. So think about that, guys. There might be a time coming where 10% of one Bitcoin is all you need to retire for the rest of your life. And how much in dollar terms right now, how much would you have to put away for your retirement? I mean, 10% of a Bitcoin, that's only about what? $3,300 or something? $3,400? How much would you have to put away in dollar terms right now for your retirement? You know, and how much, and if inflation eats that away, then how much would you have to have? Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next episode. Bye-bye.